Welcome to the Nürburgring. This is the 32nd running of the ADAC 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. Very much a traditional date and a huge entry of cars here. Over 200 will take the start. Sports, GT and saloon cars, amateur and professional drivers. It's all tied in with the town of Adenauer. But the weather conditions are very wet, cold and damp. Plenty of fans out though to enjoy the fun. It's become very much a holiday event. Here is the world parachuting champion Klaus Rentz on his 5,000th jump. He's obviously kept a record and a beautiful landing. Just look at that. Christian App saying, oh, it's an incredible feeling here. It's incredible how many people have come along and come into the town of Adenauer to meet us. I've been to Le Mans twice, but you can forget about that. This is where it's really happening. Austin Healey Sprites, all kinds of race cars out here. And there's a big hero around the Nürburgring, Hans-Joachim Stuck. He's part of the factory BMW team. Going to be racing the V8 GT-Rs. Opel, of course, won last year. Walter Steichek, not only the boss of the Opel team, but also one of the winning drivers last year. Five-minute board, ready to go up. Klaus Ludwig, semi-retired now, but one of the big names of German motorsport. Well, the big question is, do you start on slicks, do you start on intermediates or rain tyres? For me, the rain tyres are out of the question because it dries very quickly at the Nürburgring. The slicks are quite a risky option. I think intermediates are the way to go. BMW have entrusted their effort to Schnitzer Motorsport. Here is their boss, Charlie Lamb. Well, we've had a heavy rainfall just before the start. We think the track's going to be dry in some places, wet in others, but we think it will dry up quite quickly. So we've decided to go for cut slicks. Gives us a little bit more security. So that's the decision on both the BMWs. So on the warming up lap, and we see a couple of Jaguars there from the old V8 Star series, which isn't being run in 2004, but maybe run again in 2005. So cars heading round for the start, the crowd all on the side of the racetrack, and what is a very big festival indeed. Two factory BMWs, remember, with top drivers, but it's the private Porsche of the Altzen brothers, Bartels and Ludwig, ahead of the winning group from last year, Peter Dumbreck amongst those drivers. And you see the V8 Star Jaguars, several of them up in the front 14 or 15 cars, and the V8 Star Audi also. But this should be a real battle between the Porsche, I think, the Opels, who won it last year, just to remind you again, and the Audi TTs, which are DTM cars from last year, which are modified for long distance racing with bigger tanks. And who is in away first? And I think it is Altzen, Uwe Altzen. Uwe Altzen's used to 24-hour races, did a fantastic job last year in the Bathurst 24, but this is a miles more powerful car than that. So 24.35 kilometres of the Nürburgring. There's 220 cars. They start in waves of 4, and there's 16 different classes. BMW very popular in this race. There's 55 BMWs, 32 Hondas and 23 Porsches. So who has made the right tyre choice here? We're going to head out of the modern section of the Nürburgring down into the classic Nordschleife. And it's Altzen who is leading. The car twitching, the Opel, the Steichek, Peter Dumbreck car in second place. Where are the two BMWs? There they are. Boris Said from America in the second one. And the rest of the field going through. And conditions very tricky indeed, very wet in some spots. And Altzen started on slicks. The leading Opel, actually, the starting driver, Marcel Thiemann, ex-Mercedes-Benz factory driver, and everybody's slipping and sliding. And here, this is weather that needs full wet tyres, I think. I think we'll see a lot of people at the end of the first lap come in. So BMW is coming past, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of pit stoppers. Audis of different colours and complexions, and just seeing them peeling off into the pits, a number of drivers. There they go, and here is the Opel #1, so they definitely made the wrong tyre choice. And what about the fastest man in practice, who else? And there's the Opel comes in. The boys go to work. Fueled it up first. Here's Attrition with that big air scoop. We're not used to seeing that on a Porsche. Two Attrition brothers, Bartels and Klaus Ludwig. That's a strong, strong team. Team de la Motorsport really flying there at Flugplatz. And Philipp Peter, the Austrian driver, hugely experienced, raced a lot in America, is at the wheel of this car. So we ride with Philipp Peter. The Motorsport, very professional organisation. The Vulcan Tyres Nissan Skyline is in the pits, and Roland Asch, one of the most popular drivers in Germany. He started on slicks, now gone to the let's just have a look. Well, now he's going on to slicks. Yes, he said we started on the cut slicks, and at the beginning it was very tricky indeed, very wet and rainy. Then it sort of dried out and the tyres were just perfect for the right conditions for a lap or two, but then it got drier and drier, and I needed more grip. So I've come in and we've taken the full slicks now, and I think that's the right way to go. Got some marks on the racetrack there, and problems here for the Vitaphone Porsche. And it's obviously collided with another car. It's always a big problem at this race. Puncture in the rear, and try and limp that car home. So Attrition then saying, I had a collision with a Mitsubishi. I think it was the Donut King car. He pulled into the side of me, hit me on the right rear wheel. I don't think he saw me at all, but I got pushed into the crash barrier. I don't think he did it intentionally, but there's a lot of major damage to the car. It's definitely hurting our chances to win this race. And I'm really disappointed because I thought we could do it here. We had a very fast race car. Klaus Ludwig waiting for his first turn in that car. And Attrition team start to rebuild it. So the leader is the number 42 BMW, Dirk Müller, Jörg Müller and Hans-Joachim Stuck taking turns at the wheel. This car originally developed, of course, for the American Le Mans series, outlawed because the rule has said that they didn't build enough of them, but a very effective machine here. V8 engine, remember. Here is the Manthe team Porsche, moving up into second place amongst the drivers. Olaf Manthe, Lucas Löhr also in that car, Timo Bernhard, two factory Porsche drivers, and their skill certainly showing here. And that car actually running a normally aspirated engine this year, but able to run much lighter because of that. Carving its way through the field. So running in second place, Olaf Manthe saying, yes, last year we ran with the turbo engine and we ran at about 1.2 bar boost pressure. Gave us about 600 horsepower and lots of torque. But we had to run the car with additional weight on it, another 100 kilos. So this year we decided to go the other route and run lighter and without the turbo. Here's last year's winner, the Opel Astra Coupe. Remember, had to make an early pit stop and that in fact has now moved into second place ahead of the Porsche of Amanthe. Still BMW in the lead. The number 8 Audi TT currently in 9th place, the App Sport developed car. And they'll be looking to move up, and just look again, appalling conditions here at the Nürburgring. I'm sure Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich on the phone to check out how it's running. From Le Mans, of course. Audi running in 2 different race meetings, 2 different 24-hour races over one weekend, and that's quite a feat. The 5 Opel getting a penalty, a stop-go for undertaking under the yellow, but in a 24-hour race, sure that won't make too much problem. So heading towards 4 of the 24 hours, and it's BMW who are definitely setting the pace here. Lots of interesting motor cars, lots of amateur drivers enjoying the Nürburgring. There, Honda NSX going through. And let's now just check out the current positions with that Muller Stuck Lamy car in front of the Opel Astra, then the Porsche of the factory drivers, then the second BMW, and then in 5th place the second of the Opels. And there's that second of the Audi TTs with Heisman, Stippler, Benlinger and Abt. This is Christina Sura in an unusual racing car, an Audi A3 Turbo. She's the girlfriend of Christian Abt, and they met last year here at this very race at the Nürburgring. So she's certainly enjoying herself. Quite a lot of lady drivers in the race. And here the Honda NSX we saw a moment ago, Team Sport Auto. And that's got a great lineup of drivers. Armin Hahner, Robert Lechner from Austria, Marcus Österreich, better known these days for truck racing, and Scotland's Robin Liddell. And that car currently placed in 21st position. So good to see Rockin' Robin getting a drive there alongside those big names. Armin Hahn, of course, hugely experienced in touring cars. And that seems to have that blue light flashing all the time. Quite an unusual feature on that machine. You just see some of the great bits of the Nürburgring here. Number 85 has finished in the gravel. Will have to be pulled out. So problems there. But the tractor driver obliges. And meanwhile, number 2 car, 42 car, always a popular number with BMW. They like to run with 42 and 43. They tend to do that in a lot of international races. And the BMW Challenge, which faltered last year, looking very strong indeed. Oh. And dramas here for the 85 Porsche. Not only was it in the gravel, but also has got damaged rear suspension and dropping gravel all over the track. Just look at the state of the racetrack there. And that's very tricky for anyone who's coming behind. The Recaro back car, you see the actual Recaro seat painted on the door, as if you were looking straight through the car. Here, the 2 BMWs running together. Oh, and we got a spin. Oh dear, BMW almost eliminating their team in one action there. We ride in the 42 car to see what happened. Oh, hopped it onto the curb. Not quite sure who's at the wheel right there. And around, and very, very lucky indeed. But, well, they get underway. Trying to bump start it. Oh, there it goes. Nice to see these V8 BMWs out again. They actually dominated their class for 1 year in the American Le Mans series, and then very promptly were told, don't bring them back unless you can prove you've built so many. Oh, problems here for this Viper. We've had Vipers winning in the past in this race. but definitely troubles here. Andreas Golden, one of the drivers,
Das wollen wir jetzt erstmal checken.
had a loss of oil in the car, and we don't want to go any further without checking what the actual problem is. I hope we can fix it quickly. And looks as if the car is going to be pushed back into the garage. Oh, more problems here. No visibility at all for the 41 car. The hood just got dropped back in to place, and the rain coming down again at the Nürburgring. This is making the race so very tough. So a Porsche 964 Cup car having some problems. And seem to be just checking that. Well, should be able to fix that fairly quickly. Meanwhile, looking down on the Nürburgring, lots of graffiti on the trackside. So many years ago, of course, the home of the German Grand Prix. Remember great drives by the likes of Jackie Stewart. But weather conditions absolutely appalling, and twitching again the BMW. Oh, and off here for the team Phoenix Opel. And that's Marcel Fasler, makes contact with a barrier. And he's got a long way to drive home. Don't know how much damage is done yet. But disappointment for Opel this year. They weren't expected to win last year. All the bonnets flapping around there after that damage to the oh. And now the long run back into the pits complex here. One of the fastest part of the track, and Döttinger. And Fasler will turn the car to the pits, and the Phoenix boys will go to work. Just trying to see how much damage there is. Well, doesn't look too bad. I think all the wheels are pointing in the right direction, but lost time for the number 2 car. And there it comes in, and plenty of mechanics go to work. Well, back with the Altzen brothers car, that huge great wing on the back, making up for that lost time. And it looks as if the Opel is going to be retired here, the number 5 car. Well, big disappointment then for Walter Czajcek and the gang. Are being pushed away. Can't quite see what the exact problem is and why they can't get it going again, but there must be a very good reason. With 2 cars, can only try to help each other and try to give each other hints about the track conditions. When a car first reached a rainy area, it immediately radioed to the pits, and then that was relayed back to the second car. We lost the first car because it was on slicks in the rain. I just heard Manuel Reuter had a bad collision with the crash barrier at Döttinger, and one car was gone and the other one not far behind. Conditions are very tough, and well, this car is now out of the race. So, oh, another one out of the race there. That's the Porsche GT3 RS, and driver Mark Bassing, Franz Conrad, Patrick Simon, and Mario Franchitti were the drivers in that. So a very strong driver lineup, and the car pushed off the curb there. Hopefully they'll get it going again. Dark descending on the Nürburgring. And the course cars are out. Just look at the cloud formation over the track, and just look at how many people are camping there. Another routine pit stop coming up. This is the V8 Star, tubular framed Jaguar, Donny Crevel's, Sasha Biet, and another old stager and former factory BMW driver, Alfred Hager. Nice to see Alfred still racing. A lot of drivers come out of retirement to take part in the Nürburgring 24 hours. So a third of the way through, that BMW leading, the Lure Klassen Bernard Manthe car in second place, then the second BMW, then the 2 Audis have moved up, and then the Jaguar V8 Star, going through the rest of the top 16 there. So quite a battle going on. That Skyline quite well up in ninth place, and that's a car that a lot of people like. What's happening in the race? All of a sudden the pit lane will become busy again. Mechanics just getting a little bit of shut-eye. Drivers finding it difficult to sleep. Damage to be repaired, fresh tyres to be added, and stuck there just about to climb aboard, and new brakes for the Manthe Porsche. There's the remaining Opel, needing some more work. Needs to be refitted. Stychek doesn't look as if it's enjoying it too much, and maybe they're going to repair that car and get it going again. Problems then for the 7 Audi. After an accident, Audis have been running in 4th and 5th, but the car is pushed back into the garage.
Well, I came onto the long straight on Dottinger, and on the straight, the car just swapped ends on me because it's been raining a little bit, it was wet. I was on the slicks, and all of a sudden the car was sideways and I was in the wall. It was unbelievable.
So work on that car, but the other Audi, the number 8 car, going absolutely fine all through the night. Another pit stop here. Touring car racer Frank Stippler climbs out, and Patrick Huysman will climb in. Huysman much better known, of course, for racing Porsches. Indeed, we've seen Stippler in the Porsche Super Cup over the years. And the Audi moves up to 3rd place. The battle is getting more intense. And stuck at the wheel, knows the Nürburgring better than almost anyone. Charlie Lamb says, well, the weather's certainly made its mark on this race. I have to pay our drivers a big compliment. They have coped very well with the situation. And the team's also been working very well. We have never had so many pit stops inside the first 12 hours. Everyone has worked perfectly so far. From our point of view, we just want to carry on like this. It's now 4 o'clock on Sunday morning. In the pits, the signs of tiredness is showing. Pit stops are to come. But at 5:30, the sun will start to come up again. There have been some changes in the night, but still, it's BMW at the front. And let's just check out the current positions. The 42 and 43 car at the top of the leaderboard, then the Porsche 46, the Audi number 8, then the 44 Nissan. Raymond Ash, the leading driver, then the Alps and Porsche come all the way up to 6th place. Tremendous drive, and that Porsche with Simon and Franchitti in, that's moved up to 9th place despite the problems we saw earlier. Well, the morning, and still it is raining at the Nürburgring. First car to pass the 100 lap mark is the number 42. So these GT-Rs proving the vehicle to beat here at the Nürburgring in this year's 24-hour race. All the time overtaking some of the slower amateur drivers, and there's plenty of them. Starting 220 cars in this race, remember. The remaining Opel outside the top 10 now. Both Opels having incidents in the night, one of them retiring. Let's just watch the BMW as it picks its way through the field. Specially built V8 racing engine in the front. This is an engine designed specifically for this car. We understand that at least 2 of these V8 machines will be racing in the British Brit Car Series. A number of the Brit Car drivers, particularly Willie Moore, taking part in this race, of course. Going through your screen, the leading positions. And now the BMW with 104 laps in the book at Nissan, with two Japanese drivers, with the two Germans going very well. Altson's climbing back. There's the Audi, Ekstrom, Ekblom and Christian Abt, along with Duncan Huisman. Patrick Huisman also in the race, of course, in the BMW number 43 car. But problems again for the Olaf Manthe car, and work going on at the rear of that. And we can hear now from the team leader, Olaf Manthe. Oh, we've got problems with the exhaust system, he says. A bracket was broken, and that led to the rear bumper catching fire, and then the bracket broke off, and that meant the whole exhaust system fell off. We weren't able to replace the rear bumper because Lucas Luhr destroyed one of those in practice. So we don't have a spare part, but we've lost a lap, but maybe we can still catch up Pedro Lamy. We'll have to wait and see. And this is the car that Pedro Lamy is sharing with Duncan Huisman and the highly talented American Boris Said. And Boris done a lot of racing in BMWs in the States, as well as winning the Trans Am Championship in the past. So that car continues.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I mean, very difficult conditions because it's not rain, it's not dry, it's always changing very quickly, and sometimes we had problems. I had a problem with the rain. I was in slicks, and when I started the long circuit, I had a big shower and I had to come very slowly. It was tough, but it's done, and the weather stays the same. We will see how we're gonna finish.
Well, this car has four-wheel drive, and that's helped it through the night. And they currently lie in 5th position overall. 3/4 of the way through the race now. And 1 place behind the full comeback to Nissan is the Altston Porsche. Flags wave. 2 Japanese drivers, of course, alongside Roland Ash, who has driven this car several times here at the Nürburgring. Oh, and a big slide on then for the Altston Porsche. Most of the cars running 4 drivers, although that's not mandatory. You can run with just 2 drivers. Every driver can only drive 2.5 hours at one go. If a driver goes over the 2.5 hours, then he is penalised 5 minutes for every lap over the 2.5 hour period. So here is that unusual looking Porsche, that big air scoop, pushing hard. Moving back up the field after that early crash, having been put off into the barrier, and the mist still amongst the trees of this magical Nürburgring. Michael Bartels, of course, highly experienced, some Formula One drives for Lotus briefly. Also raced in the DTM and the V8 Star Series, and here's a spinner. And hopefully he'll get out of the way of all the pursuers. The flag marshal's doing a great job here. 221. BMW number 100. Bit of the flat rear tyre. We'll have to limp it back into the pits. The Viper back on the track after a very long stop, some 37 laps behind now, running at the back of the field. Disappointment for them. An unusual colour scheme there for that car. Making up some ground is certainly the number 1 Opel after its dramas in the night. You see that gravel again on the side of the track. Here's the Opel, and it's just put in the fastest lap of the race, 8 minutes 26.7. Arrived, of course, from the DTM machines. And the team scoring a great victory last year. Wonderful to see Walter Stajcek, the very original DTM champion, incidentally, scoring a victory along with his DTM drivers last year. And this is the British-run BMW, Willie Moore, David Cox and Gareth Lloyd having a bit of a moment. Regulars in the Brit Car Series and regulars at the Nürburgring too. And just look at this train of cars. And again, there's a wet line and a dry line. And hopefully the slower cars will move out of the way. And you can see from our helicopter shots the magnificent nature of this Nürburgring circuit. Past a little campsite there of the marshals, and there you just see where we are around this Nürburgring. Snaking through the mountains, the Eiffel Mountains, and here's the V8 Star, the team at Zakspeed Cars, obviously been in the wars. The Jaguar shaped car. That will need to head for the pits. And there's the carousel, fantastic view of the banked corner they call carousel. And it's very steeply banked indeed, as the cars climb up the side of the mountain again. '42 car into the pits, the leader. And at this race you can have as many mechanics as you like on the car and stuck ready to climb back in again. Dirk Muller is the man who climbs out of it, and he's using a Hans device, as you saw. Back with Christian Abt. Oh, and Abt having a moment here, and he's going to... Yes, just hits the barrier. Well, that's a disappointment then. Oh, well, they see it on the television as well. There's Werner Frohwein, shakes his head. Well, I don't think he's very happy about that. You can see it again in slow-mo. And Christian Abt, whose father, of course, started the Abt business. Oh, he did hit the barrier pretty hard, didn't he? But he'll limp that back. We can hear from Abt now. I was out there when it started to rain, and you just come to a turn and there's standing water and there's very little you can do about it. You have no chance. On the Nordschleife, he said there's very little gap between the side of the track and the Yarmco barrier, and just 1 meter and you're off and hit the barrier, and that's what happened to me. And it's happening to these two as well. That's the NSX Honda and Jochen Ubler in the Audi A3, the diesel-powered car. So drama here at the Nürburgring. And I think the Honda's all right, but the Audi looks a bit second-hand. And here's an exotic machine. This is one of those new Beetles, and this one's running on biodiesel. And amongst the drivers is Smudo from a rapper group, very famous in Germany. But they are way down the field, 42 laps down. So we're entering into the final part of this race here at the Nürburgring. And check out the positions with just 4 hours to go. Still the BMW is first and second, but separated by 1 lap. Then that Porsche that's been there so long, the Audi, the Nissan still going well and going down the field. Quite a lot of Porsches in the second 8, but in 16th place a Volvo S60, so that's a very good result. I'm not sure about the driver there who races under the name of Bugs Bunny. Meanwhile, in the VIP tent of Honda, lots of autographs, all this for charity, and the picture is going to be auctioned off subsequently. There it is, lots of signatures on it, and then it will go for auction. and hoping to get as much as 5,000 euros. So a very good promotion by the Honda team. Here's the auction going, not the normal sort of gavel we see at an auction. And there is the happy man, I no doubt put up in his bar or whatever. And there's the Honda that just had contact, crabbing in, and that car looking absolutely as if it's been in a destruction derby. Oh dear, the Alpsen car is out with engine problems. Well, a brave effort comes to an end. So, disappointment ultimately for the Alpsen brothers with Bartels and Klaus Ludwig. And we can find out now what the problem was. Well, it all started yesterday afternoon when we had a collision and we had to go into the pits and we lost 3 or 4 laps. We repaired the car, but we knew there might be damage which would follow up. The exhaust manifold was affected and we changed that. And there was also a problem with the turbo system which was damaged. But now we have a problem with the oil system. We've lost a lot of oil and really that's finished off the car. So I'm afraid it's the end of the race for us. There is Jörg Müller, and the leader having some problems with the transmission, and the Schnitzer mechanics getting underneath it. Hopefully they can fix this. They've got a bit of time, remember. They have a lap over their sister car. Meanwhile, we go on board with this Nissan, the 2 Japanese drivers, Takajuki Kinoshita and Tatsuya Tanaka, driving together with Roland Ash and Dick Scheusman, who's been involved in this project for a number of years, through the carousel here. And 4-wheel drive certainly has been a great help in this wet, dry race. In 3rd place, though, the Manthe Porsche, showing a little bit of damage to the rear. We heard Olaf Manthe talking about that earlier. And this is a surprise right near the end, just half an hour to go. The 7 Apt Audi comes in, its 19th pit stop. And it has made less pit stops than its number 8 fellow car, which has made 22 stops altogether. So the Audi coming in, that TT looks absolutely spectacular, doesn't it? Into the pits. Oh, Managing Director of Quattro GmbH, Werner Frohwein, says, I'm disappointed because we were hoping for a podium finish. It was a race with so many different weather changes. I've never experienced anything like it in 30 years of coming here. Meanwhile, Opel limping. 15 minutes to go, and tyre damage there. You see bits of the tyre flying off. Had a puncture, we'll have to make another pit stop. Reuter, Schneider, Strejček and Thiemann are the drivers in that car. Well, in the last but one lap we had a puncture which cost us the 9th position we had moved up to. Nevertheless, I want to compliment our team. The car was always going very well indeed, and we repaired it as quickly as we could. Then we had the great comeback. The car was absolutely excellent to drive. We came from 86th back to 10th place, and that tells you a lot. And here they are, right at the very end, a formation finish. An incredible sight. There's nothing like it in motor racing. But at the very front, the 2 BMWs and the Schnitzer team had done their job. 42 car finishing in front of the 43 car, and BMW adding to a great history here at this race. Since it was inaugurated, they've won it on 16 occasions outright. They have 86 class victories. No one comes close to that. Porsche have won on 6 occasions and had 44 class wins. Hans-Joachim Stuck made his debut, his racing debut, way back in 1969 in this race. And in 1970, he actually won it in a BMW 2002. What a career it's been for Hans-Joachim Stuck, and he'll be really happy at the end of this. Incidentally, that biodiesel car just limping home at the end. And the flags wave. An extraordinary scene then here at the Nürburgring. A great victory by BMW and their partners at Schnitzer. And a 1-2 result. Jörg Müller, Dirk Müller, Hans Stuck and Pedro Lamy. He wins it again. 143 laps in the book. The average speed of the winning car, 145 kilometres an hour. The marshals wave. There's a BMW flag to be picked up there. And, oh, there's that biodiesel car we told you about. And another diesel machine, albeit from a different German manufacturer, is going to push it across the line. And it will record a finish. We had a minor problem, and then we were a bit worried. That was right near the end, but it got fixed, and everything was fine in the end, says Hans-Joachim Stuck. Father, of course, is a famous pre-war German racer. Let's just see that finish again in slow-mo. And then on to the victory rostrum. A large trophy handed over to Hans-Joachim Stuck, the two Müllers, who are unrelated, and Pedro Lamy. And they're certainly enjoying their success. Here then, the result. In third place, the Leur, Klassen, Bernard, Manthe, Porsche, Huisman, Stippler, Wendlinger and Abt. And then going through the field, that Volvo moving all the way up to 12th place. Very good result for that. And the Opel Astra being classified in 10th place at the end. So a really tough race. Jörg Müller there. Well, a great car, super teammates. None of us made a mistake, he said. We had no contact with another car. The car is still in perfect condition. The weather conditions, well, they were very difficult. I have to say it's probably the toughest race I've ever driven. But you're always given good service by your team. And the big problem really was knowing where the wet was and where the dry was. We planned to make no mistakes, and you can only win this way. The others had the same chances as us. Some were even faster than us, but they made mistakes. Our whole team, all the 6 drivers, did not make any mistakes in the 24 hours.